Great. Hello and welcome everyone to COTA's webinar uh, entitled CFI Monitoring Update, Uploading of Organic Product Certificates in the IID. My name is Maylene Bosch, and I'm the Government Relations and Regulatory Affairs Manager here at the Canada Organic Trade Association. And we are so pleased to be able to have joining us today Valeria Stakova, who's the lead auditor for the Canada Organic Regime at the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, a position she has held since 2017. So much experience and knowledge to share with us today. With advanced education in food science, food safety, and quality management, she has played a central role in developing and overseeing Canada's organic regulatory system. Valeria has participated in all of Canada's organic equivalency negotiations and remains actively involved in international organic initiatives with a strong focus on addressing food fraud risks in the global organic market. So today, Valeria will be telling us a little bit more about the new requirements that were put in place as of May 26th, 2025. What does that mean? What's required? And some of the analysis that they've been doing on what they've seen so far. And with that, I will pass this on to Valeria to share. The presentation today will be recorded, and slides and the recordings will be sent to our members in a couple of days. We'll also be asking that you hold your questions to the end, and we'll have lots of chance for a Q&A on all of this. So thank you very much. Go ahead, Valeria.
Okay, hopefully everybody can hear me, can see me. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who is joining this webinar today. Before I start, I would like to thank COTA for the invitation and for the opportunity to do this presentation. It's a very interesting and very important presentation because we worked very hard to get where we are today. So today, the goal is to give you a little bit of update on where we are with the Canadian import requirements for organic products, as well to talk about the compliance level of imported organic products. During my presentation, you will hear a lot about compliance, enforcement, level of understanding. So hopefully you will better understand why we are putting so much emphasis on this project. So to give you a little bit of information about this project, everything started in 2019 when we initiated the incorporation of the organic import requirements into the CFIA automated import reference system. This system is a unique CFIA system that allows us to differentiate between conventional and organic products. I would like to highlight that actually this is a system that only exists in Canada, and a lot of our international trading partners are envying us for the fact that we can differentiate at the CFI level between organic and conventional products. Of course, it was not an easy task, an easy project to complete, so it took us several years. And in 2024, finally, we had all the import requirements successfully incorporated in the system. So when I say all, I mean only about agricultural organic products. Maybe later on we will talk about aquaculture organic products. So May 26, 2025 was an important date for the CFI and also for the importers, because since this date, we asked all the importers to upload digital copy of their organic product certificates with each organic product being declared and shipped to Canada. So from May 2026 till October 2025, we gave the industry 3 months of compliance, of adjusting to see how they will comply with the import requirements. And we actually took this time to update our web page, to provide additional information, to send a few notifications to make sure that everybody is aware of the new requirements which are actually not new. They have been in place since 2009 when the organic regulations came into force, but have not been incorporated in the ERS system. So what we've done is in October 2025, we did a 3-month analysis of some declared organic product certificates to see the level of compliance, the level of understanding of the regulatory requirements. So when I talk about this sample size and what we've collected, I have to warn you that there are certain limitations. And the limitations was that we did a small sample size, and we selected a number of import declarations, but we did not focus on the size of the shipments. So we just looked at how many transactions took place, not the quantity of the product that was shipped. Also, when we looked at the transactions, we looked only at import declarations that were submitted through the integrated import declaration systems. Some of the importers still use paper-based documentation, and we did not take into consideration this information when we were conducting the analysis. And the last but not least, when we talk about importer, when we use the term importer, we talk about importer business number, or a regulatory party that is licensed under the SFCR. So there are cases when there were multiple groups combined together under the same importer business number. So these limitations kind of limited our ability of what we will be looking at and what kind of results we will get at the end. So talking about the sample size. So the sample was taken between May 26 to August 24, 2025. So this was a snapshot to see what happened during the first 3 months of the implementation of the requirements. We looked at almost 102,000 organic products that were declared, 14,971 shipments, and from these shipments and these organic products that were declared, we verified 1,300 organic product certificates. We used combination of criteria when we were extracting these certificates, making sure that we touch on different food commodities, basically different products coming from different countries, coming under different regulatory systems, so that we can get a good picture of what is coming, how it's reported under the imported declaration. So basically, the declarations made, the cover declarations are made by 290 unique importers. We looked at these declarations and we analyzed the level of compliance. So based on the analysis, we have a pretty good idea where are the organic products coming from. And you can see on the screen, I hope you can see it, there are different colors, different shades that tell us where the product is coming from. What I'm going to share with you is not going to be a surprise. Obviously, you see that the United States is very dark colored, or almost black, because 78% of the organic product is actually coming from the US. The next is Mexico, which is 11%. We have 1% coming from Argentina, Chile, China, Ecuador, Italy, Peru. Again, this is based on 3 months snapshot, only on a very small number of organic certificates. So it's not representative, fully representative. Of course, there might be some changes in the numbers, but generally speaking, we already know that majority of our organic products are coming from the States under the US-Canada Organic Equivalency Arrangement. So now let's see what is coming to Canada as organic product. Again, there will be no surprise. The top 10 declared HS codes, or harmonized system codes, are vegetables and certain roots and tubers. Of course, fruits, coffee, tea. These are the 3 top commodities that come to Canada, cereals, and followed by products for the milling industry, malt, wheat, gluten, oil seeds, and other cereals, and also beverages, spirits, vinegar, and miscellaneous edible products. But majority of the products, organic products that are coming to Canada are vegetables, fresh or processed, and fruits, fresh and processed. So now, this is a very interesting slide, and it might give you a wrong perception of what we are trying to say, because it's very skewed. We have top 20 importers by number of transactions, and you see one big column, the first one, basically one importer that imports majority of the products, or 80% of the products. This is not based on the quantity of the product that comes to Canada. This is based on the number of transactions. So it happened that during this period of time, one importer actually had a lot of transactions, brought a lot of products, and that's why we have this peak for one of the importers, and the others are very, very small. Like they combined represent 14% of the transactions. If we are to do the same exercise, maybe from January to March, I'm pretty sure that the chart will be very different because of the type of commodities that will be coming to Canada during this period of time. Again, if we are taking into consideration the quantity of the product that is coming to Canada versus the number of transactions, this chart will be also very different. But at that point of time, when we were doing the analysis, this is what happened. We had one importer that brought a lot of products, a lot of transactions, and the other importers were not as active as this one. So now, this slide is very interesting, and this slide represents actually how the product is coming to Canada, under which system, and what is the level of compliance. So I will take some time now, and I have some numbers here to make sure that I'm explaining properly what is on this slide, and everybody understands what's the purpose of this slide. So the key, I want to communicate clearly the key observations for certification system. So the first column is representing the products imported under the US-Canada Organic Equivalency Arrangement. It's the highest, the longest column. And in addition to the all baseline requirements for uploading organic certificates, all the products that are imported under the US-Canada Organic Equivalency Arrangement must have an attestation stating that the product meets the terms or is certified in accordance with the terms of the US-Canada Organic Equivalency Arrangement. The reason for this statement is, and I'm sure you've heard this many, many times, the reason for this attestation is to confirm that there are critical variances in the equivalency arrangement between Canada and the US, and only products that meet these critical variances can be shipped to Canada. I'm not going to repeat again that there are 3 critical variances and so on and so forth. But for us, it was very important to see that actually all the products shipped to Canada under the US-Canada equivalency arrangement are accompanied by a document that states that the terms of the arrangement are met. So what happens as a result of this requirement and as a result of our analysis? You see that most of the column is colored green, which means compliance. So 79.2 of the declared organic products were compliant. Basically, they came with the appropriate documentation, with the appropriate certification, and the attestation for compliance was available. 8.5, so the next one, the red one, is 8.5% included only the addendum and were missing main page of the organic product certificate. So for us, it was very difficult to figure out which products are compliant and which products are not, and if the product that was shipped to Canada was compliant or not. The next light yellowish color is the percentage of products that came only with certificate, without the addendum. Maybe I can stop for a second here and talk a little bit more about the certificate, because I start talking about the certificate, but I didn't take the time to explain what I meant. So as you know, most of you know that the organic product certificates under different organic systems vary. They have slightly different information on the certificate. Because of our equivalency arrangement with the US, we ask for this attestation compliance with the terms of the US-Canada equivalency arrangement. The rest is the same as all the other certificates. All organic product certificates have the name of the certificate holder, have the system under which the product is certified. And when I talk about system, it's either USDA NOP system, the European organic system, the Japanese organic system, JAS, or any other system with which Canada has organic equivalency arrangement. Also, for us to make sure that the product that is shipped to Canada is on the organic certificate, it's important to have the list of the organic products that are certified. If the product is not on the list of the products, the addendum or the organic certificate, doesn't matter, each certification, but organizes their certificate slightly different, then that means that the product is not compliant, the product is not certified. So it's very important for the importers to look at the certificate and see, okay, the certificate has the attestation of compliance, but also there is the addendum or the appendix or the list of the products, and my product is there. It's part of these products that are certified as organic. So we found that 8.8% of the products that came to Canada, were imported to Canada, had only the certificate. And in these cases, the attestation, although the attestation was present on the front page of the certificate, we couldn't figure out if the product is certified or not because we didn't have the addendum. The last purple color on the first column refers to products that came to Canada with a different document, not the organic product certificate. It's a transaction certificate, bill of lading, a certificate of analysis, documents that are also good and applicable within the whole import system of Canada, but are not relevant to the organic product and are not relevant to the imported requirements for organic products. So generally speaking, most of the products are compliant with some deviations. And this was very important for us to know so that we could decide on the next steps to ensure compliance with compliance of the importers with the import requirements. Column 2 represents products that were certified to the NOP standard, but were missing the attestation statement. So in the first column, we were talking that, you know, the products were certified to the US-Canada equivalency arrangement, but something was missing. The second column actually represents products purely with NOP certificate, not mentioning the US-Canada equivalency arrangement, not a single indication that the equivalency arrangement was taken into consideration. So 65% of these products only had the product certificate uploaded, but they were missing the addendum, and 18% had the addendum and the product certificate, but there was no attestation. So the second column is the problematic column for us, and we've already identified the importers that brought the product with non-compliant documentation. That doesn't mean that the product is not organic. It's just that the documentation was not compliant and more work was needed to be done to ensure that everybody understands what the requirements for the documentation are. Some of the information was shared with the USDA National Organic Program colleagues. Some of the information was shared with the importers themselves to make sure that we are all on the same page. So the first two columns basically are under the US-Canada equivalency arrangement with some deviation in the way the organic product was brought to Canada. The third column is mainly green, which is good. These are the products coming to Canada under the EU-Canada organic equivalency arrangement. And as you can see, a majority of the products are in compliance. The documentation is compliant, 93.3% actually, to be more accurate. Only 6% of the products coming from the EU came with document different from an organic product certificate. Again, this is our role, the CFIA role here, to make sure that everybody is well aware of the import requirements and the appropriate documentation is attached or added to the shipment. So column 4, you can see it's all red. So there was a percentage of products that came to Canada with no organic certificate at all. It was, again, invoice, certificate of analysis, the product approval forms. So we really reached out to these companies and start explaining to them what the requirements are, what is needed, to make sure that next time when the product is shipped to Canada, the appropriate documentation is accompanying the product. The column 5 and 6 and 7 are products. The products, first is product certified to core in other countries. You can see this is a very small percentage. Actually, not a lot of products internationally come to Canada certified under core. The majority of products imported to Canada come under the US-Canada Organic Equivalency Arrangement. The next column is under products coming under other equivalency arrangements. We had products coming from Japan, Switzerland, and UK, and there were 18 transactions during this period. Most of them were compliant. There were only 1 or 2 documents that did not have the addendum, so we could not figure out initially where the product belongs. Is it certified or not, because there was no addendum. And the last column is products imported under an approved standard, basically under an approved system. We had only 2 cases, sorry, and these were products in third countries with which we don't have equivalency arrangement, and they were not certified under the US-Canada Organic Equivalency Arrangement. So these are the key observations based on the sample size we took during this period of time. Again, this chart confirms what we've already known, that most of the products are coming to Canada under the US-Canada Equivalency Arrangement, and that's why we are working very closely with our colleagues from the NOP to make sure that the certification bodies are aware of the requirements, that the proper certificates are issued, and the attestation is included. So the next slide is also very interesting. We are talking again about the US-Canada Organic Equivalency Arrangement and how much of the product comes directly from US and how much comes from third countries, and third countries like as a whole, and also from Mexico, because as you know, we have equivalency arrangement with Mexico, but we found out that basically a very small percentage of the products from Mexico are coming to Canada under the Canada-Mexico Organic Equivalency Arrangement. Most of the products are coming certified under the US-Canada Equivalency Arrangement. So let's look at the first column, which is the third countries. So the blue, let's see, the blue column, I'm reading here my notes to make sure that when I present the information, it's accurate. So the blue column indicates that the certificate issued under the NOP was uploaded within the system, but again was missing the statement certified to the terms of the US-Canada equivalency arrangement. The red column from third countries indicates full compliance with the requirements. So this is a good sign. Most of the products are, more than half of the products are compliant with the terms of the US-Canada equivalency arrangement. The second column is products coming directly from the US under the US-Canada equivalency arrangement. And you can see here that the blue and the red column are almost the same, which means that we still have products coming directly from the US with attestation missing on the certificate or the addendum missing. So we are working, we are making sure that these issues are addressed with the USDA NOP to make sure that this is all in compliance with the Canadian import requirements. And the last column talks about or represents the products shipped to Canada from Mexico. And again, most of the products are compliant. Some of them are compliant, but they're missing the attestation of compliance, which has to be included on the certificate. So the next slide, again, based on the sample size we took, talks about or shows us where majority of the products are coming from third countries. So we saw that we have a lot of products coming from the US directly, but there is a lot of products that are coming under the US-Canada equivalency arrangement from third countries. So the lead is taken by Mexico, where we have 63. And when I say 63, these are 63 transactions during this period, followed by Ecuador, China, Brazil, Colombia. You can see that after China or Brazil, like the transactions are not so many, and they're equally spread between different countries. And we didn't look at, like, it's interesting that we didn't look at a lot at countries from the European Union to see what the distribution is there, because we don't have, like, we wanted to focus on the US-Canada organic equivalency arrangement, since 78%, 79% of the products are coming under the US-Canada organic equivalency arrangement. But again, this is just a snapshot for this period of time. And later on, when I talk about the next steps in this project, you will understand that we are not going to limit our analysis only to the US-Canada organic equivalency arrangements. There are other factors that will be taken into consideration. So this is a good slide to tell us where we get most of the products under the US-Canada equivalency arrangement in third countries. And now we're going to change a little bit the discussion from compliance of the certificate itself. We're going to look at the validity of the organic certificate. So what does validity means? First of all, before we talk about what that means, let's look at the chart. As you can see, majority of the certificates were valid at the time of the shipment, which is 91.8%, and only 8.2% were no longer valid. So what it means for a certificate to be valid or not. Generally speaking, the organic product certificates are renewed every year or issued every year as a result of, based on annual inspection and when all the non-compliances are addressed and closed and so on and so forth. So this is generally speaking, but under some regulatory systems, the organic certificate is renewed every year. However, the validity of the certificate is 3 years. So it's case by case. We have this information available on our website. And based on the information, we check each organic certificate. We also encourage everyone to visit the CFI website to better understand what validity of the organic certificate means, and if there is a certificate that is valid for more than 1 year, and which certificates are valid for 1 year. But generally speaking, this is something that the importers pay attention to, and actually the results from the analysis show it. They know that the organic product certificate has to be valid at the time of the shipment. Now, so what are, I talked a lot about compliance, attestation of compliance, attestation compliance with the US-Canada equivalency arrangement, addendum. So what are the main points we would like to share with you today? These are the points that we shared with other associations as well. And these are the main points we want to make sure that our importers understand and verify and comply with. So the first and the most important thing is to make sure that all the pages of the organic product certificate are uploaded in the IID, which is the Integrated Import Declaration. Each organic certificate must include the front page of the original certificate. The front page tells us who is certified, to what standard, is it compliant with the terms of the US-Canada equivalency arrangement, and also gives us information about the validity. When was the first certificate issued? Sometimes there is information. When was the last inspection? For how long is the organic product certificate valid? As a rule, the product addendum and appendix that list the exact certified organic products that are declared has to exist and has to be included in the declaration. Sometimes this element is missing, and it's very important that it exists, otherwise we cannot verify compliance. And again, the page with the attestation certified to the terms of the arrangement can be on the main certificate. Sometimes we see it against each product in the addendum or the appendix. There is no rule that the attestation should be on the front page. It depends on the certification body where they will put it. But generally speaking, it's a must that this attestation exists. And again, the validity, usually we see that the certificate is valid or not on the first page. So this information is publicly available. We communicated this information to several associations in Canada to make sure that the importers are aware of this. And you probably noticed that I always refer to importer, importer, importer. Importer is important for us because this is the regulated party in Canada. However, we are aware of the fact that in some cases, the importers work with brokers. And the brokers are the ones that upload the documentation in the IID. However, it is the responsibility of the importer to explain to the broker what has to be uploaded, because the legal responsibility is with the importer, not with the broker. Again, we communicated this information with the brokers in Canada to make sure that they are aware of these requirements, to make sure that they pay attention to the documentation. Of course, it will take some time to get used to these requirements, but we're going to talk about how we will continue to ensure that this compliance remains. Okay, so next steps. I talked about, we did it for 3 months phase period, and now this phase period ended. Actually, it ended in October last year. Since then, we've started reaching out directly to importers, directly to competent authorities, directly to certification bodies to ensure that the documentation is as required, that this is complete, and it's easy for us to verify compliance. So from now on, we are not going to do 3 months or 2 months. Our sample size will be based on several different facts: risks, intelligence, number of complaints, number of non-compliance known to an importer, huge quantities of product coming to Canada. So we have a list of various criteria that we are using now to determine different sample sizes that we will be looking at. Again, we are not going to make ongoing presentations for every single analysis or extract of information and analysis of information that we have. However, we are using this information to make informed decisions about unannounced inspections, issuing non-compliances, changes to the policies on our website, working closely with other competent authorities. Sometimes there will be cases where we will use our compliance and enforcement policy to take action against non-compliant importers or non-compliant producers in Canada who used product that is not organic. And we hope that with all these measures in place, we will be actually taking a more streamlined process towards fighting fraud in organic production, because it's not news to us that there are players who are trying to take advantage of the system and import non-organic products, declare them as non-organic. When the product comes to Canada, they change labels, market it as organic. So right now we're in a process of gathering a lot of information, analyzing what is included in our integrated import declarations, and we are taking actions. Not all of the actions will be publicly available, but the people, the regulated parties who are involved in these cases will be informed, and we will work directly with them. So with this, I'm going to stop the presentation. I think I took a lot of time, and maybe there will be some questions. So now I will open the floor if there are any questions or any comments. And I will stop sharing.
Well, that's a lot of information, Valeria, and a lot of analysis that you've had to take a look at, even to be able to come to these trends that you've been sharing with us. So I would invite anyone who has a question to raise your hand, and when we call on you to then turn on your camera and your mic. I don't see anything at the moment, but in the meantime, oh, I had forgotten to mention at the start of this that Valeria today is joined by two members who are really of the core team who've been very heavily involved in analyzing the data and taking a look at it. Nellie Dennis and Jillian Swan. So if there's questions as well, they may be able to help us with that as well. So thank you very much for being on there. I guess one question that I have is, definitely, this CFIA and the focus of this presentation is enforcement. And with some of the information that you provided, industry has been talking a lot about what other data are we missing? What kind of things can we use in terms of our trade flows that actually could help us better seize the opportunities that we have for the Canadian organic sector? Has any thought been put into that? And do you see opportunities or potential for this data to be used for it? And if you're any actions you're taking around that?
Well, that's a very good question. And I know that the industry is very keen on data and how we can compile more information and how we can use it. Actually, our team does not work in isolation. We work very closely with Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada. They have a division there, or section, that collects also a lot of information on imported products. And now they're very interested in getting this information on imported organic products and start preparing some analysis as well and some data. So we're working very closely with AFC, and hopefully we will start producing some information in the future. The other thing I want to mention is that no system is perfect. So when our importers are inputting information in the import declaration, and this declaration is further processed to fit the CFIA enforcement needs, we miss sometimes information about the price of the product or the quantity of the product, or sometimes the product is listed as in boxes, brought in boxes, 10 boxes. Sometimes it's in tons, sometimes it's in pounds. So for us, we're still trying to work out the best way to analyze this information, especially the quantities. Also the price. Sometimes even the vendor is missing. So there are a few elements within our system that we need to work on to make sure that when we produce data, it's valid data and actually tells a good story. But even with what we have right now, I think we are telling a good story. People understand that we are relying heavily on imports of organic products, and majority of the products are coming under the US-Canada organic equivalency arrangement. So more to come. It will take time, but we are working in collaboration with AFC, and I think that there will be great products coming out from this project.
Great. Thank you, Valeria. I see Roxanne and Jérôme's cameras on. Roxanne, did you have a question?
I do. Thank you. Thanks to COTA for hosting this, and Valeria, thanks for the presentation. Lots of really interesting data to chew on. I was wondering, with the launch of the Organic Integrity Database in the U.S., your NOP certificate now comes through the OID. But one challenge that we're seeing on the ground is that operations will often just use the product list from that database. And that isn't sufficient to show US-Canada equivalency. I've noticed some certifiers are kind of sneaking it in there in different ways, which is creative, right? But you don't have the declaration either, right? So I was wondering if that was something you were seeing as well.
Yes, and actually we brought this to the attention of the USDA NOP colleagues, and they said, yeah, these are the limitations of the system, but that the CBs can produce certificates on paper, can put this attestation. We had a few discussions, and I think that the certification bodies have to be a little bit more creative. That's the answer we get from the USDA NOP, because we start sending them examples of certificates without the attestation of compliance. So they are aware, Roxanne, they are aware, and I guess there will be some tweaks either in the system or some instructions will be sent to the CBs to make sure that this information is on the certificate, or at least on the product list somewhere. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Roxanne and Valeria. Jérôme.
Hi, thank you, Valeria, for the presentation. It was a great insight into the import system. I was wondering if I know you're still implementing everything and assessing and informing the people of the requirements. Is there an intent for CFIA to maybe increase the number of verification to be done yearly?
So yeah, that's a very good question. You know that I will start with something that probably already is known. We have limited resources as everywhere. We are going through a change. So who knows how the things will be starting April, but we still intend to continue to do different samples and to extract different information. Of course, it will never be 100%, but depends on the commodity, depends on the risks, depends on the information that we get, depends on the complaints. We start looking at more and more information. I will give you a little bit internal information from the kitchen. For example, right now we are working very closely with South Korea to assess like what comes to Canada from South Korea, what are the benefits of this equivalency arrangement. And we did actually Nelly, who is on the call, but she has some technical difficulties. Otherwise, she will be explaining all this too. Nelly took a sample size to see what came to Canada under the equivalency arrangement, what type of certificates, what is missing. So depending on the, how can I say, on the priority we have, depending on the country we work with, depending on the commodity, we will increase the sample size. And if we see some trends, we will start notifying first probably the importers as regulated party, also the certification bodies where we see some risks or trends. So it will never stop. It's going to be ongoing work, but it's not going to be like, okay, this month we do 20 samples. Next month will be 50 samples. It's going to be a little bit more fluid.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the risk-based approach is interesting. I would definitely be interested in knowing what are the risks that are identified by CFIA. So as a CB, we could also focus on those. And then
can
Yeah.
I interrupt you right here? And
Cool.
this is one of the topics that we can discuss at our certification body working group, where we talk internally how we can manage the risks and what we should focus on. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
that's really interesting.
Mhm.
And my other question is there a plan for, or is this a possibility for CD to have access to data that are collected, or will it only be managed by CFIA and shared with the appropriate party?
Uh, we haven't discussed this yet. We are in very early stage. We want to produce, our goal is to produce annual reports and to see how these annual reports can be made publicly available, but it will take time. Right now, it's we are not there to make any commitments.
That's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, we're
Well,
not there
thank
yet.
you, Marlene, also for hosting the presentation. Thank you, Valeria, for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? I think it was a lot to absorb. I think there was probably one question that might be out there that people have is, so this seems like just a start as you cut the data, but if industry for some reason were looking for any other more specific trends as an industry, um, are there other possibilities to be able to get more data out of that? I know you've said that you're not going to be giving regular updates and reports, but if there were something that we were to identify that, this could be very important or critical, that's something that we possibly could bring to you.
Yes. Again, when I was presenting, I said that we will use a set of different criteria, and one of the criteria is intelligence. So if the industry identifies something as a potential risk, or you have some internal information that might lead to non-compliances or some enforcement actions in the future, yes, it's okay to bring this to us. We will internally discuss how we can generate this information and provide it. Of course, there are, different levels of approvals and how much information can be shared externally, but we invite everyone to give us intelligence, information, to submit complaints or to submit requests, and we do our best to address them in timely manner.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Valeria. I'm just taking a quick look. I don't see any other hands raised or any other questions. So
And
yep,
Maylin, and it's okay not to have questions. Of
yep.
course, the information that we presented, it's quite complex and maybe requires a little bit of time for people to digest it and to figure out what we are doing and why we are doing it. Even for us, it's still like we're still at the very early stage of the implementation of this project. For us, it's important to make sure that everybody understands that there are import requirements for organic products, that there are the specific documents, there is an organic certificate, there are certain elements on the organic certificate we will be looking at, the responsibilities of the importers, the responsibilities of the other regulated parties. So these are all elements that require a little bit of time for people to digest, to understand, and to say, okay, I'm not interested in this. This is not for me. This is not relevant for me. But there will be a lot of people probably on this call that will say, yeah, this is relevant. I should look at the CFA website and see how they change their information. And I will definitely invite everyone and encourage everyone to visit the CFA website for imported organic import requirements, to see how we organize the requirements, to see more information of the documentation. There is a lot, and we all need time to understand how this project will progress and what we will continue with.
Great. Thank you, Valeria, for those comments. And I have put links for all of those things that you mentioned on the sidebar, and we will be sharing them as well when we send the slides and the recordings. And I think with that, I would also invite if any of our members have any additional questions, please forward them to me, Maylene, at COTA, and we'll collect them and we'll bring them to Valeria and try to get you an answer with that if there's
And
any.
again, We work as a team. We have a few members that are dedicated and collect a lot of information internally to make sure that we put these great presentations together. I'm just the face of the Canada Organic Regime, but there are a lot of other colleagues that work with me. So I want to to acknowledge their contribution as well.
Great. Thank you very much, Valeria. And again, for your time putting this together and just answering our questions on a very complex thing. We definitely, as an organic sector, are very, very um, um, committed to ensuring, that we don't have fraud, that we maintain organic integrity, and appreciate all that you're doing for this. And with that said, I will close it off. If you are interested in more events by COTA, February 21st, we will be having an event at CHFA, an organic evening. It's going to be a wonderful networking event for members who may be in the area to network, have a wonderful Michelin-starred feast, and be able to talk with others while we're there. And we've also got our Organic Summit and Parliament Day happening November 2nd and 3rd, and our member forum on November 1st. So save the date for those. But in the meantime, there will be other events that are coming. Those are more just to put on your calendar, but there will be more webinars, there will be more training, and hopefully more opportunities to invite Valeria and others back. And thank you very much, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you, Maylene. Thank you,
Bye,
everyone, for
everyone.
participating. Bye.